bound.
Hey guys, Eric Tarr here for theproaudiofiles.com. In this video I'll be discussing how to use an EQ at the mastering stage to balance the frequency spectrum of your mix. So far I've been using the iZotope Ozone 5 plugin to polish up my mix using some basic processing. Here's what I've got so far.
Trouble bound. We hit the town.
Using an EQ at the mastering stage can be a tricky thing. It might be tempting if you think that there are any spectral problems or spectral issues that you should use an EQ here to try and fix those problems. However, it's my opinion that if you have these issues and you can, go back to the mixing stage and try and fix them on the individual instruments. Therefore, what I'm going to argue and suggest is at the mastering stage, rather than trying to fix problems, what you should be doing is trying to enhance your mix before the limiter in the signal chain. You're going to do this by doing very gradual and subtle spectral shaping. Let me get into the plugin and show you some tricks that you can use. Go ahead and turn on the module right here. Then before I even get into doing any spectral shaping, what I like to do first is go into the snapshots tab. What I'm going to do is capture a snapshot that's going to tell me the long-term spectral average of the frequency content in my mix. This is going to be a helpful guide and reference for me when I'm trying to figure out how to balance a frequency spectrum. So I'll start the capture here and press play.
Trouble bound. We hit the town.
Alright, so let's have a look at this snapshot. What I notice is that, in my opinion, this is not very well balanced mix across the frequency spectrum. I've got a lot of low frequency energy, and then when I get into the mid-range, it falls off a little bit, and then in the high frequency, it falls off even more. Now, one thing you need to realize when you're thinking about mastering a mix and trying to make your mix sound and be perceived being very loud, you have to understand how the human ear hears. And one thing to know is that the human ear is very sensitive to frequencies around 1K up to 3K, but it's not very sensitive to frequencies that are down here around 50 Hertz. So what you don't want to do is put a lot of low frequency energy in your mix. You'd rather maybe concentrate or bring up a little bit more of the energy in the upper mids where the ear is going to be very sensitive to those frequencies. So what I'm going to try and do, bring down a little bit of the low end, bring up a little bit of these upper mids, and hopefully that will balance out the frequency spectrum a little bit better. So I'll go in here, first thing I'll do, add in a bell-shaped filter, bring this down maybe around the 2 kilohertz range. Now I don't want to do very dramatic spectral shaping, so I'm only going to go up here by about 1 dB. And I like to keep a very wide Q here because I don't want it to be too sharp of a filter. So I'll broaden this out a little bit. That'll be just fine. Next thing I want to do is bring down a little bit more of the low end. So I'll go in here, use another bell. Looks like maybe what I'll try and do is bring this down so it's centered right around 80 Hertz. Sounds great. I'm going to bring it down by 1 dB. Looks like I can maybe widen out this Q a little bit more. Alright, that's as far as it's going to go. Now so far what I've done is just tried to balance the mix. I brought up the upper mids, brought down the lows, and this is what it sounds like.
Trouble bound. We hit the town. I'll never forget that sound.
Another thing that I'll suggest, especially if you're worried about bringing down too much low end and having the bottom end of your mix fall out, is one trick that I like to do that kind of tricks the mind into thinking that there's more low end is to actually pull out a little bit more of the low mids. And what that's going to do, relatively speaking, is the low mids are going to be a little bit quieter compared to the low end so that it doesn't sound as much like there's the low end's missing. All right, so I'll bring in another bell-shaped filter here, bring it up maybe around 400 hertz. This one I'm going to use a sharper cue, bring it in tighter, go down another 1 dB. All right, just scoop out a little bit of those low mids. Let's get it up closer to 400. All right, let's listen to this.
Trouble bound, we hit the town. I'll never forget that sound.
And that's all there really is to it. Nothing fancy going on here. Very gradual, subtle spectral shaping to balance out the frequency spectrum and enhance my mix such that it's going to be perceived as being loud. Stay tuned for the next video where I'll discuss a couple of small tricks that you can use with automation to put the last few touches on a mix before it hits the limiter.